Hey, it's Drybear. Over the weekend, we had Tokyo Game Show, and we actually had the producers for the First Descendant show up and give an interview based on the game and its direction going through Season 1 and Season 2. So today, we're going to recap everything that was said. Now, they weren't releasing a whole bunch of really new leaked content. This is more about getting in the minds of the developers, figuring out what they're thinking, how they're receiving feedback, and what their plans are for the future. So this is going to be more of like a general perspective that we're looking at here. And they also did summarize this on their official Twitter. So if you're looking for that as well, I'll leave a link for that down below, as well as a link for the timestamp in the Tokyo Game Show broadcast where they do go through this. Just keep in mind that it is in Japanese, so you'll have to translate it or use, someone who used the translation to get through it in the first place. First question was more around just where they're getting their feedback and how they're responding to it. So the question was, you're receiving feedback from all over the world, and in previous interviews they had mentioned that they were struggling with international feedback as well, because they were obviously a development team based in South Korea, and they were used to dealing with communities in South Korea. But once the First Descendant came out and went global, they've been trying to incorporate other regions, other countries, other languages, other cultures into their update process, and then the translations for all of that has been a challenge for them, but it's something that they've been incorporated. So biggest piece of feedback that they wanted to focus on for answering this interview was around farming in general. This is a big thing that is on everyone's minds, which is it takes too long to get the things that I want. I've had people say that they're trying to get their secret garden nanotube 80 pulls on an Amorphous, they don't get it, and they log out, never to log in again because they're so tired of it. So they do want to focus on making the farming easier and more accessible. They want to be able to improve the farming probability issue. Now, they don't directly say that they want to increase drop rates, but they will add various modules related to skill power and weapon attack power. They will improve physical defense. They want to have more options for loot available. And they also add content that requires research on various builds. This is kind of about them being able to increase the playability of it. But when it comes to farming, they just say that they want to simplify farming across a wide map. This is probably back to their original thought that they like to be able to have the map itself be very circular, where you can go, you can do the outpost, you can do the fragment, you can do the reactor, and then cycle back to it and keep doing that over and over, and that keeps that stable. And they say they want to make it simplified and easier and more straightforward, but I haven't really seen anything in this specific unit that says that they want to reduce or improve the amount of drops required to get things to drop. Based on feedback, they also will add content that requires research. They want to make significant improvements to skin quality. I think a lot of people are giving feedback, especially on the latest round of skins. Some people really like the latest rounds of skins, and some people really don't. They just think that the latest rounds of skins are just not really very modernized. They're kind of old school, or they're kind of simple. In some cases, kind of lame for some people, have that feedback. And whether you like the new ones or not, I think they definitely could use a wider variety of skin content and conceptualization to make the skins themselves reach a higher bar. And they close out by saying that they want to improve their development speed. They recognize that a lot of people enjoyed First Descendant for the first month, 2 months, 3 months, and they recognize that they're not including enough content at a rapid enough pace to keep up, but they do want to kind of improve that and make sure they're targeting the right things at the right time. They also acknowledge that people do not like the puzzle mechanics or the gimmicks for the gameplay we've seen not only in Season 0, but also in Season 1 for the season invasions, and they want to try and improve that, and that remains to be seen whether we go into Season 2 with that kind of thought in mind. Next, they're asked about being able to swap people in during a party. So this is like kind of addressing the lever issue or the disconnect issue that people are having, especially now that people are running more dungeons after the rework. And they say just outright that they have no plans at the current moment to put development time into allowing new people to join into a mission that is already in progress, mainly because they believe the missions are all too short for this to be reasonable. So, intercept battle is like 10 minutes, right? A dungeon can be 10 to 20 minutes. Even the infiltration operations like defense, they're being shortened in the update on October 10th. So they feel like it's too short of a timeline for them to be able to implement a system where people can join ad hoc in the middle of a mission. So don't expect that in the coming updates. They also talk about trading. They were asked directly about trading and will you be able to use Caliber for it? Like, can you use Caliber to buy items? And presumably, could you get Caliber back from selling items to other players? And they say, yes, we talked about trading in the future. So they definitely are sticking to their guns there. Before the launch, they were asked about trading, and they were saying that they are working on trading. They want to do it. For now, they are putting in ETA 0, the vendor, which is kind of like a stopgap solution for the October 10th update in just 10 days. days. So we'll be able to see that showing up as well. But they do want to improve the individual farming environment rather than trading, and increase the consumption of blueprints or goods obtained through farming. So they want to be able to say that, hey, we want to improve the farming process first before we look at full trading. They're still going to be doing the vendor in the meantime, and they still are considering doing trading or have people working on a system, but it's not going to be in the short term, not going to be anytime soon, and they want to make sure that they're improving the drop gameplay first without having trading as a option for solving that problem. Which is kind of an odd answer to me, considering the fact that there are people that, I mean, there's a whole bunch of complaints around farming right now. There's some people that saying that the complaints are around just not being able to get what you want, spending 50 to 100 amorphous materials, opening them and never getting the thing you're looking for, or just taking too dang long. There's also complaints of people that have duplicates of things that are actually useless, right? You have blueprints and other things that you get, like, you know, I have like 40 Kyle catalyzation blueprints and 60 Lepic, enhanced cells and things like that do nothing. And not only that, but when you open an amorphous material and get that item, that is effectively a negative result because you're not getting something that could have been useful. Now, again, this is hopefully going to be improved with the ETA 0 vendor, where you will be able to trade in your bonus materials to the vendor and get a coupon or a voucher that you'll be able to unlock other things like paints or inventory expansions or other blueprints you might need based on the rotating inventory of that vendor. So that problem will hopefully get a lot better in 10 days for the next update, but going forward, it's probably not going to completely solve the problem. So we're going to need to look to see what they do about farming in general, but also maybe look towards some kind of trading option, some kind of marketplace option, some kinds of direct trading that we can do to help make this whole ecosystem work better. Then they were asked about the upcoming update on October 10th, the 400% infiltration. This is the hardest mode dungeons difficulty that we have for infiltration operations. This will also drop the new vendor vouchers that you can use at the ATA 0 vendor, which is going to be great. The new Void Colossus, Deathstalker, Ultimate Freyna, the Freyna story, all of that is going to be added into the game, along with new content, new cosmetics, and the Halloween update as well for Albion, dyeing, hair dyes to be able to use paints on hair to change the color of your hair. All of that is going to be added in as well. They also want to, people that have already completed the 400% evasion can easily take on the challenge. They want it for veteran players to have something harder to do rather than just like looking towards gluttony, which I think if you're someone who has finished out your builds and you're completed in the game, you probably don't have trouble clearing gluttony even in pugs at this point. But it's, you know, it's for the normal players that are just pushing towards gluttony and clearing it for the first time that are still struggling based on where it is. So the content where veterans can sufficiently guide newbies. This is an odd comment to me because I don't know if, I feel like if you're going to be doing the 400% difficulty invasions, I don't know if the veteran players are going to be doing a good job of actively mentoring people regularly, especially if it's the hardest content in the game or one of the hardest. It probably will breed more toxicity than anything, depending on how they do it and how they do the public matchmaking for it as well. So I don't know if it actually will end up being a way for veteran players to help guide newbies through difficult content, but we'll see how that ends up going for it. They also said they plan to create new endgame content for Season 2. Now, hopefully this means new kinds of endgame content and not just like new void bosses and new dungeons, but actually a new activity as well, like a horde mode or a, capture the flag or something that allows like some kind of content that we can use as a different style of acquisition for items, but also just something new and fresh to do in Season 2, which actually realistically isn't all that far away. And they concluded this interview with a message to the viewers. They've been running around like crazy, working super hard, and I would say this is definitely evident with the amount of hot fixes, new content, reworks, and their drive to try and keep the live service, content rolling. They have been surprising us with a lot of great updates, changes, fixes, that sort of thing, and it does seem like they're really working their butts off. And maybe this is, maybe they just need to get a better pipeline to help content roll more steadily through so that they can actually like start planning it out. And maybe they've already implemented that and we're going to see the fruits of the new pipeline start showing up in Season 2, or maybe they just need to staff up a little bit to get, more developer, more man force, more manpower to be able to push through the level of content that's required, because there's a lot of interest in the game, a lot of support for the game, but I think a lot of people at this point are kind of reaching the end of the treadmill. Like the treadmill engine is starting to slow and the speed is starting to slow because they're running out of things to do. And I think there's a lot of people that really like the game that want to continue, that are just hungry for more things. And hopefully with the update on the 10th, we're going to see a lot of that satisfy those gamers as well. And they close out by saying, thank you so much for supporting the game. Keep keep up the love and interest, and they're going to keep working hard to satisfy everyone and keep people interested in the game. So hopefully they can show off with that on the 10th and then going into season 2 as well. But let me know what you think about all this, everything they've said in this interview, and their general direction for the game down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.